Profpat couldn't afford to buy a helicopter as his instructions had suggested, even after stripping Chicago dry of short change. So, frugal as he was, he bought something much cheaper and studied up on it. The prof was sleeping after resting up from a nap so he could deliver an important lecture on creative accounting in San Francisco when he received a frantic call from a calm ninja to begin his West Coast trip immediately, if not sooner. Profpat gathered up some spare pencils, loaded his turbo-powered station wagon with what he needed, and took off before trouble could arrive, grabbing a cup of coffee on the way out. He drove and drove and drove some more and soon passed the foothills of the Rocky Mountains where he was still supposed to practice some things. However, he had noted 6 dust trails or devils following him many miles behind. Prof remembered that nobody in a private message to all had hinted at some dark and very probable futures for the Earth that he'd observed when taking a wrong turn in time during the CMBR trip. One of them being the fate of Earth from global warming. However, all was not lost, for the good-hearted toe-questers could perhaps use their knowledge of the newly discovered toe to alter the dim future somehow, if only they could learn all the nuances quick enough over the coming years ahead of the doom. The naturalist, for instance, would be able to absorb with awestruck reverence scenes of overpowering sublimity far beyond the simple prettiness on offer now. A musician would be able to hear and play music more exhilarating and heartfelt than anyone had ever dreamed of. The celestial music of the spheres heard by the mystics would become as a child's toy flute in comparison to this grand and ultimate symphony. The sensualist would discover that what had passed for deep and passionate sex had been merely a pleasant prelude. Erotic pleasure of an intensity that flesh had never known would become enjoyable without guilt, even by thought alone. A painter or patron of the visual arts would be able to behold representative vision in a holographic reality of indescribable glory and completeness. Scientists would be able to apply a googolplex of neurons to their thought experiments, rivaling Einstein's fortunate aha moments all of the time, to reveal much of what was unknown between heaven and earth. Arguments by people insisting on their own selfish ways would melt into a new sense of increased reasoning, just as bad and aversive emotions would be greatly lessened by new and safer medical miracles. Wars would become much reduced, and humanity at large could finally progress beyond its everyday suffering. Profpat landed in San Francisco and began his lecture on being accountable in some colossal skyscraper's conference room whose grandeur befitted the importance of accounting. For where would the world be without transactions, the accounting of which was the very language of business? The lecture was entitled The GAP Between the CPA and the CGA in Using the IFRS. It soon began. The basic accounting principles of the double-entry debit-credit system have not changed since the days of ancient Greece and Rome in that we must stay up all night until they balance, that is, until Enron dropped out of the Big Five that we now call the Big Four. The lecture was about to go on, but it was so boring that Austin's story allows the waiting fed-ups to immediately rush toward the podium. Profpat threw very sharp pencils at them, greatly slowing them down, accidentally erasing a few of them, along with some quirks, income tax, big accounts, and some green eye shades, and then disappeared behind the curtain and ran up the stairs toward the skyscraper's roof, not even stopping for a smoke or at a pencil sharpener. The feds ran down the stairs and found no one but their lawyer, who said, "You fools, these stairs that go down, do they not also go up?" So he reversed his charges and sent them up, but a bit too late, for Profpat was already winging away like a duck. No, wait, ducks were in Frederick's story. He winged away like a foul bird, airfoiling the Federals yet again. The feds called in 6 black FBI sedan helicopters. See, Profpat, maybe you should have bought one. To follow him, as he received another message. Stealth black Ninja aircraft carrier waiting for you beyond U.S. boundary and international waters. Profpat flapped his seemingly real and movable organs for flying, wings and rose and dove in rises and dives to outwit the helicopters and lose them for a while as he flew through a cloud with his mouth open to get a drink of the refreshing water droplets. It was cat and mouse for a while until the cheese disappeared in the fog. He then used the heat rising off the Golden Gate Bridge to fly on through the end of twilight, intending to use the darkness for cover beyond the city's lights. However, this ending of dusk also meant that the ocean was no longer trading brisk breezes with the shore, and that he would begin to lose altitude. Death, where is thy victory? To triumph whilst I die, to triumph whilst thine ebon wing enfolds my shuddering soul. Death, where is thy sting? Shelley. Sure enough, he began dropping 30 feet a second over the ocean, and still had 25 miles to go. This is it. I'm an overdue account, pound foolish, though penny-wise, but overdrawn. At least they didn't get the toe from me. Naughts, oughts, and all that he ever taught, bought, sought, and fought, flashed before his red-inked eyes as he intentionally dropped like a stone for short whiles before flaring his wings to catch the air and turn potential energy into kinetic to gain forward progress out to sea. He far and away the nuttiest professor now. Time to square accounts with my maker on account of my curiosity to account for everything. Money is of no account now. From death my life was a borrowed debit, but I spent it, loved it, and lived it on good fortune's credit. It was no use. Profpat was going to fall into the ocean. He could sense the moisture, almost taste the brine, and was soon going to swim with the smell of the fishes. Good try, said Prof to Pat, his other self same, but you're not going to pass this course. It's okay, said Pat to Prof. I'm dropping out. My number is up. Good old Prof was ready to yin his yang in the fine way that he lived, in the black. All the books balanced except for a spot of white in the darkness of the yin. What's that below? The landing lights of the Ninja carrier's heliopad flashed on in the glorious pattern of heaven, heat and light, combined with earth dark and cold, each revolving around the other, the yin-yang symbol of a cyclic and rounded life. And Profpat dropped 30 feet, gave one last push forward, and landed just as the carrier's lights went back off. Well, that is my questionable long and arduous search. See, quest great expedition. I train you a number of things. I am 9.0 degree Grandmaster. Do you know accounting, Grandmaster, 9th degree ninja, Emperor of the Multiverse? Just call me number 9. I know good account. Get digits mixed up, but make million that way. What you do on other ledger side? I color quarks through the prism of superstrings and theorize the emission of an electron from the proton. True, so that's why I couldn't afford a helicopter. Yes, Pat Prof, and so you see that we only see inside of head where all is fabricate. I agree, I fabricate you. Scents and odors fabricate from molecule shapes in the nostrils, and sounds fabricate from air vibrations as well as colors from waves and even the illusion of light itself in a dark head. Especially during my favorite pastime of sleeping and dreaming. You good illusion of physical world, being like some TV tuner received broadcasts from far. But you somewhat out of touch from doze too much, so I teach you touch base 10 feet away with invisible 10-foot pole. With my girlfriends around or not around? I don't know about that. That'd be touchdown, but recall for illegal procedure. Now what touch lately? That's personal. Ah, sorry. Why kids touch something when tell not to? It all started in the Garden of Eden. Ah, very touching story of dumb people made by smart God. You're still holding 2 apples. Ah, yes. You funny. We make applesauce and welcome you for training. Grandmaster Professor and temporal toe protector of universe that can someday give good life to all.